Would you eat this to win this? Well, there was a time when Nintendo wanted you to. I'm speaking of the infamous "What would you do for a Nintendo GameCube" contest. People did some weird stuff. Let's take a trip back to 2001. Nintendo of America was preparing for the North American release of the GameCube. On top of a revamped marketing campaign, Nintendo of America had a very unique idea. They were going to hold a contest. The grand prize would be a GameCube, a Gameboy Advanced, and $5,000 cash. The rules of the contest were basically right there in the title. Contestants would perform wacky and outrageous stunts to prove that they were willing to do anything to get their hands on a GameCube. Contestants would submit an application on the GameCube's official website with their talent, and if they were deemed worthy, they were allowed to compete in person. The end result was a bunch of people doing some really weird shit. When I first heard about this contest and the things that actually went down, my natural assumption was perhaps that things escalated past what Nintendo initially envisioned for the contest. The open-ended nature of it caused people to get really weird in order to stand out, and Nintendo was expecting things to be a little bit more pedestrian. Well, it turns out I was completely wrong. Let me direct you to Nintendo of America's official press release for the contest. Redmond, Washington, October 2nd, 2001. Would you eat a bucket of bugs or cut your hair into a Nintendo logo just to get a new Nintendo GameCube video game machine? There it is, right there. All the proof we need. Nintendo actively wanted this contest to be fucking disgusting. Nintendo is sounding the gong and calling for the wildest and zaniest submissions from consumers willing to do just about anything to win Nintendo's next system. Geez, Nintendo, is this a contest or a casting couch? 5 finalists will be flown to San Francisco to perform their stunts in front of a live audience at a Nintendo Cube Club. People often ponder, what would you do if you could go back in time? Well, I guess that question is bunk now, because we'd all be going to San Francisco in October of 2001 to watch some dude munching on a cicada with a Nintendo logo branded into his forehead. But here's my favorite part of the whole press release, a quote from Peter Main, Nintendo of America's executive vice president at the time. Just like our games, Nintendo fans are unique. Now I know this guy didn't mean this in any kind of negative way, but doesn't this totally come across like he's politely saying Nintendo fans are fucking weird? While we're on the subject, who exactly were these unique Nintendo fans, and what did they do to become finalists in the contest? First, there was Jason Schreier, a 26-year-old from Chicago. Schreier proposed to his girlfriend while she was dressed up as Peach and he was dressed up as Mario. I can only hope that the proposal was more about being in love and less about getting to play Luigi's Mansion 2 weeks early. Jeffrey Hildeck, a 24-year-old from Rochester, New York, juggled an NES, SNES, and an N64 while dressed up as Mario and whistling the Mario theme. Pretty cool. I don't even really have a joke here, that's just a legitimate talent. 16-year-old Matthew Knapp painted several Nintendo logos onto a tapestry, using his tongue and various condiments. Alright, Matthew. You're not fucking around. Lizzie Joseph ate a Nintendo GameCube-sized replica made out of Spam, cat food, and chocolate syrup. Oh my god. Corey Olsberry painted himself like a Pikmin, shaved his head, and ate a bunch of quote-unquote Pikmin food, which really just meant he ate worms and crickets. In the end, all of the finalists got a GameCube, which, thank God. I mean, seriously, can you imagine doing any of this and then walking away with nothing? But Olsberry won the grand prize, taking home $5,000, a GameCube, and a Game Boy Advance. So, how did Nintendo feel about the outcome of this contest? Well, we got Peter Main back in action here. Of course, we never expected someone to become a human Pikmin and dine on mealworms and crickets just to get his hands on a Nintendo GameCube. Yeah, it must have come as a complete shock that someone ate bugs for this competition. I wonder where they could have gotten that idea from. So I think there's 3 main points to take away from this contest. 1. Your knee-jerk reaction may be to judge these people for the weird stuff they did during the contest, but in the end, the joke's on us. Not only did they get GameCubes before everyone else, but the winner, Corey Olsberry, actually got a job working for Nintendo. As of the making of this video, he's actually been with the company for nearly 10 years. Yeah. Anytime you think you're a big Nintendo fan, just remember that there was a guy who dressed up like a Pikmin while eating worms, and it impressed Nintendo so much that they gave him a job. 2. I'm pretty sure Nintendo could hold this exact contest today and receive a similar amount of enthusiasm because of how hard it is to get your hands on a GameCube and its games. 3. I'll always love Nintendo for how unique and out there some of their ideas are, but I'm glad that today they surprised people by redefining the very idea of what a home console is, as opposed to asking your fans to eat pet food.